Hey guys, it's Jen. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another epic meal prep video. In this video, I like to show what I prep for my family for the upcoming work week. We try to eat mostly low carb or keto during the work week. And so on this weekend, I want to make some grilled chicken and salmon, some egg bites for breakfast during the week, as well as some keto bagels. I want to make some pork rind crumbs, possibly some tuna cakes and peanut butter cookies, hard-boiled eggs, some different salads. I definitely want to prep my produce and possibly get some meals prepped for the week ahead. So this is quite an ambitious list, and let's see what we can get accomplished. So if you're new to my channel, hi, my name is Jen. I am a working mom. I have two kids, 6 and 9, and I work full-time outside the home, as does my husband. I post a lot of different videos on home and food and cooking. So I hope you will stay and stick around if you are interested in that kind of thing. So the first thing I'm prepping is actually some grilled chicken. We were actually going to have this for dinner on this particular night, and anytime that we have grilled food, I like to make extra so we can have it in the fridge during the week. I got a new juicer on Amazon and it is super great. I really love it. I will definitely leave a link in the description box below if you're interested in checking that out. It does a great job with both lemons and limes. So to marinate my chicken, I just went ahead and rubbed it with some olive oil, lemon juice, some salt, and some of the Trader Joe's 21 seasoning salute. And then we also had some steaks in olive oil, garlic powder, and salt as well. So I just let those sit while I'm going to prep my salmon. And then after everything is prepped, we will get it on the grill. I usually like to buy my salmon from Costco, and so I recently had a Costco haul, and so I wanted to make sure that I got this cut up, portioned out, and put in the freezer for future use. I went ahead and just put it on a washable cutting board, and I'm just using my knife to cut that into smaller portions. I get a lot of questions about the knife that I use. It's a Zwilling, I believe, is the brand. I'll leave a link in the description box below. It's definitely a great chef's knife if you are looking for one of those. When you're portioning out any type of meat to freeze, you just want to make sure that you lay it flat in the bag. That way, if you want to just take out 1 or 2 pieces and thaw those out, you can do that a little bit easier. I just labeled the bag with a Sharpie marker, and I will put the salmon in there, and then I'll take them out to the deep freeze. I saved a few pieces back, and so we're going to actually have those on the grill tonight. Again, I like to grill extra meat when we are doing it anyway, just so we can have quick protein in the refrigerator for during the week. So for the salmon, I'm just going to juice a little bit of lemon over that. I'm going to add some kosher salt, some olive oil, some dried dill, as well as some of the Trader Joe's 21 seasoning salute. That's one of my absolute favorite seasoning blends. If you have a Trader Joe's near you, make sure that you check it out. So I'm just going to go ahead and stick this salmon into our deep freezer. Just make sure that, again, all the pieces are separated. And then after dinner, I went ahead and boxed some things up for us to have for work this week. In this dish, I have some cauliflower casserole with portobello mushrooms and some steak, along with a dish of salmon. I actually used that today for a salad for lunch. It turned out really good, even reheated. And then with the extra chicken breast, I just sliced that up, and I will keep that in the refrigerator. We will use that for dinners and salads and quick snacks for the work week. The next thing I want to prep is some bacon. So I'm using some thick cut bacon that I got from Costco. I like to sometimes just bake it in the oven. It's a lot easier and less messy. So I just lined a sheet tray with foil and put a cooking rack on top, sprayed with cooking spray. And then you can just lay the bacon on there, pop it into the oven. And then you're just going to cook that at 425. I went ahead and set mine for 20 minutes. I think I had to add about 5 more minutes on the end, but basically you can just keep cooking it until it's done to your liking. So here is the finished bacon. I'm going to use some of this in some egg bite muffins that I'm going to make later in the video, and then the rest of it I'll put in the refrigerator to have for salads this week. I also wanted to cook up some sausage. We were going to have some of that for breakfast on this particular morning during the weekend, but then I reserved about a cup of it on the side to make some egg bites with, which again, you'll see that later in the video. Since we're trying to do more keto and low carb during the work week, I wanted to have some pork rind crumbs on hand. This is a substitute that a lot of low carb recipes that call for in place of breadcrumbs. And so I went ahead and got 2 bags of pork rinds. They're super cheap at Aldi. I think they're like 89 cents a bag. And so you can just put those in the food processor and grind them up. I used a funnel to put those into a mason jar. I will leave a link to that funnel in the description box below. They were a little bit oily, and so I thought maybe they would be better to store them in the fridge. I know that normal pork rinds are stored in the pantry, but for some reason I just felt more comfortable storing them in the refrigerator. The next thing that I'm going to make are some of these low carb keto bagels. I will link this recipe down below. You'll need some almond flour, some everything but the bagel seasoning from Trader Joe's, 3 eggs, some baking powder, garlic powder, onion powder, some Italian seasoning, or I just use thyme and oregano. You'll also need 3 cups of the pre-shredded part skim mozzarella cheese, as well as some cream cheese. This recipe is from Peace, Love, and Low Carb. She has a great website if you're interested in checking that out. This dough is basically made out of mozzarella cheese, cream cheese, eggs, and almond flour, plus some seasonings. And so the first thing you do is just put the mozzarella cheese and the cream cheese into the microwave so that you can melt it together and combine it. And then I will just combine my dry ingredients in a bowl. So I'll add the almond flour and the baking powder and then all my seasonings. The original recipe said to sift it, but I wasn't really in the mood to do that. So I just put everything into a bowl and used a whisk to whisk it up, and it worked perfectly fine. I would say you could probably skip the sifting step and just whisk it together. So you can see here that the cream cheese and the mozzarella cheese have melted a little bit. I just went ahead and stirred those up and put them back in the microwave for about a minute while I whisked up 1 egg. That's going to be used for the egg wash for the top of the bagels before you put them in the oven. So here is my melted cheese. I'm just going to go ahead and add the dry ingredients into that. And then 2 eggs, I went ahead and whisked those up before I added them to the bowl. As I was mixing this, I kind of wished that I would have gotten out my KitchenAid mixer, but honestly, I actually had to stick it back in the microwave for about 30 seconds to have it incorporate together. And obviously you can't do that if you have it in a metal bowl. So once I stuck it back in, I was kind of trying to play around with the best way to form these into bagel shapes. This mixture is definitely too sticky to put into your hands and form like you would, like a regular dough ball. Plus it's hot, right? Because you just microwaved it. So the best solution I came up with was just to drop them by spoonfuls onto the parchment paper baking sheet. And then you can see I just use my fingers to kind of poke a hole in the middle and just form them with my hands. If anyone else has tips, go ahead and share those with me below, but this is the best way that I came up with. And again, they're not perfect, but it is definitely a great substitute for a bagel. Adam and I both tried these with cream cheese, and we liked them, and we thought they would actually be good for breakfast sandwiches as well during the week. So once you get your bagels formed, you can just brush the tops with your beaten egg, and then you can use the seasoning to top the bagels. Once those are all topped, then you'll just go ahead and stick them in the oven. These bagels will bake at 425 degrees for anywhere from 12 to 14 minutes. I went ahead and put 13 minutes on the timer. I have a convection oven and they turned out perfectly. You can see here that they come out of the oven nice and golden brown. They really are good. I would totally recommend them if you're trying to do low carb or keto. We just put them in a Ziploc bag and we'll have them for the week ahead. Okay, so next I'm going to prep some of the Starbucks Sous Vide egg bites. This recipe is from foodieandwine.com. I will leave a link in the description box below. For this recipe, you'll need some meat. I use some bacon and some sausage. I use some shredded Gouda cheese. You'll also need 8 eggs if you are doubling the recipe like I am. Also some hot sauce to taste, some cottage cheese, and some salt and pepper. Also, I almost forgot to show you guys, but you will need some heavy whipping cream as well. So this original recipe is actually for Instant Pot, which I have made them a lot like that before, but the past couple times I've made these, I've actually just cooked them in a muffin tin with some silicone muffin cups, and we have actually liked them better that way. I like the Instant Pot version too, but Adam seems to like this one better, and it's a little bit easier, so I've been doing this. So essentially you just want to add your eggs, cream, cheese, cottage cheese, and seasonings into a bowl. I'm using a bowl with a spout because we're going to pour these into muffin cups. And then the original recipe calls for putting them in a regular blender, but I have an immersion blender. I will link the one I have down below. I really love it, and I think it's a great tool to have in your kitchen. To assemble these, you just want to put your breakfast meat in the bottom of the muffin cups. You can use bacon, sausage, ham, or chopped up veggies if you'd like. I made about half of them with sausage and about half of them with bacon, and then you can just basically pour the egg mixture in. You can fill them all the way to the top if you want to, and then I just saved a little bit of cheese and sprinkled the rest over the top. So I bake these at 400 degrees for about 15 minutes. You just want to bake them until they feel firm to the touch, and they will puff up a lot in the oven, but they'll shrink back down as they cool. You just want to make sure that you let them cool completely, and then you can pop them out of the silicone molds and put them in a dish. These store great in the refrigerator, and they only take about a minute to reheat. The next thing I'm going to get started on is just chopping up all of my produce. I definitely try to do this on the weekends because it just helps us have it ready in the fridge, so we are more likely to eat it. We end up wasting less. So I like to chop my own romaine lettuce. I got 3 heads of romaine lettuce. This is the organic romaine. It was just in a bag, so I just like to chop that up, and then I soak it in cold lemon water for about 10 to 15 minutes before I spin it dry and store it in the refrigerator. This just helps the lettuce taste a little bit fresher, and the lemon juice helps to keep it from browning as well. So once that has done soaking, I just drain it off, and then I go ahead and spin it dry in my salad spinner. I love this salad spinner. I use it so much every week. It is probably one of my favorite kitchen tools. I'll leave a link down below if you're interested in trying it out. I also use the Rubbermaid produce containers to keep my lettuce fresh. Next, I'm going to wash my strawberries. So I just like to soak those in cold water with a little bit of vinegar and rinse them off, and they are good to go. So for my strawberries, I'm going to go ahead and cut the tops off and then just slice those with a paring knife. I'm actually going to prepare some fruit bowls for us to take to work this week, but for the rest of them, I'll just put them in a glass dish and keep them in the refrigerator. They don't keep for a super long time, probably, I don't know, I would say anywhere from 3 to 4 days, but honestly, we eat them before that. The kids love strawberries, and so as long as I have fresh ones in the refrigerator, I will put them in their lunches and they can have them with breakfast. I also wanted to prep some blueberries as well, so I'm just doing those the same way with a little bit of vinegar water and rinsing them off. For our fruit bowls, I'm just going to prep those with a little bit of strawberries and blueberries, and then I have some of this Sola low sugar yogurt that I'm using to put with the fruit, and we can just use that as a dip. So Adam and I can take these to work for a quick breakfast or snack during the week. Now, I know grapes are not keto, but we definitely like to have those on hand, especially for the kids, and Adam will eat them as well. He doesn't really do strict as strict low carb or keto like I try to during the week. So how I like to prep my grapes is just picking them off the stems. I go ahead and put them in my salad spinner with the strainer insert inside the bowl. And then once I have those all picked off the stems, I will go ahead and just put that down in the sink. I will run some ice cold water over them, pour in a little bit of vinegar, and just let them sit for about 10 to 15 minutes. Once they have sat, I go ahead and just rinse them off with some extra cold water, and they are good to go for the upcoming week. So one thing that's really good with grapes, if you're not doing strict low carb, is cheese. So I wanted to prep a few of these little snack boxes for Adam and the kids. They actually both like them. I have some of this 1,000-day aged Gouda cheese from Trader Joe's. It's really good. I would recommend it if you have a Trader Joe's near you. I have these divided snack box containers by Sistema that I like to use for this. So I just put the cubed up cheese in one side and some grapes in the other. We can take those this week for a snack or grab them in the afternoon if we're hungry before dinner. For the rest of the cheese, I just went ahead and put that into snack bags after I cubed it up. So I will probably take those to work this week. And then for the remainder of the grapes, I'm just putting those in a Ziploc bag with a paper towel to make sure that all the moisture gets soaked up. So I have my prepped grapes. Those will be great for the kids to have this week. I have my little snack boxes for Adam with some grapes and some Gouda cheese and some plain cubed Gouda cheese that I can take to work for snacks as well. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to prep is my cilantro. I bought a bunch of cilantro at Aldi this week, and it was extra soggy for some reason. There were a lot of pieces in there that didn't look very good, so I had to separate those out. I just like to soak that in cold water again in my salad spinner and then rinse it off and then spin it dry. Once it's dry, I basically just roll it up in a paper towel and put it in a Ziploc bag, and then it is ready to use during the week. I also wanted to prep some zucchini noodles or zoodles this week. One night we are going to have shrimp scampi with zucchini noodles. I have a Vide, which is one of the cheaper kind of zoodling tools out there. So I will go ahead and leave a link to that down below. I think I got it for around $10. But basically you can just twist your zucchini around until it is all spiralized. I like to cut the strands down the middle so that they're not so long. And then I just go ahead and put those in a zip top bag. These will stay good in the fridge for around 4 to 5 days. And then if you don't get them used up, you can actually throw them in the freezer as well. The next thing I'm going to make is some broccoli salad. So for this, I needed to prep some broccoli. I just like to cut the florets off of the stems, and then I like to give it a rough chop. I will go ahead and put all of the broccoli into my salad spinner, and then I just like to soak that in cold water and rinse it off. So once the broccoli is clean, I'm just using my paring knife to cut it into smaller chunks and put it in a mixing bowl. That's where I'm going to mix up my salad. This salad is super easy. You probably have all the ingredients on hand, and it's a great low carb snack to have during the week. So to the broccoli, you're just going to add some ranch dressing and some bacon bits. I don't have exact measurements. I'm sorry. I just usually eyeball it. To that, I'm also going to add some ground pepper, and then you can go ahead and pack that into your containers. This is great for meal prep because it is just super easy and convenient to take with you. You don't have to reheat it. So once the broccoli and bacon mixture is in your containers, then you can go ahead and top that with some shredded cheese. And then on top of that, go ahead and put some sunflower kernels. The reason why I don't mix everything together is because if you mix everything together, sometimes the cheese and the sunflower seeds can get soggy, so I prefer to keep them separate. But this is a really good simple salad to prep if you are interested in that. Next, I'm going to prep my cauliflower. So I just like to quarter this and then cut the core out. And then I will go ahead and give the florets a rough chop, put those in my salad spinner, soak them in cold water and rinse them off. I didn't really have a plan for this cauliflower, but I like to have it on hand for salads and for crudité and things like that. So what I went ahead and did is just use some sandwich bags. I put some raw cauliflower and broccoli in there along with some white cheddar dressing. That's really good. And so those veggie packs will be ready for the week for us to take to work. Now, again, I know this is not strict keto, but hummus is not super high carb. It's actually a pretty healthy snack. So I'm going to go ahead and take some of this lemon hummus that I had on hand from Whole Foods. I like to pack them into these dressing cups. If you haven't seen these before, I get them on Amazon. They make packing lunches super convenient. So I just went ahead and put 2 tablespoons of the lemon hummus into each of those dressing cups. And then I had some baby carrots in the refrigerator I needed to use up, as well as some sliced cucumber. So I'm just putting those into Ziploc bags along with one of the hummus cups. And those are definitely a great snack that we can have during the week. The kids sometimes will eat this. Adam will definitely eat it. If there's a day where I feel like I can spend the carbs, I will definitely take one to work as well. So I also had a red pepper in the crisper drawer that I wanted to get prepped. Again, I didn't really have a plan for this, but I like to go ahead and slice that up and stick it in the refrigerator. Then I can use it for dinners and snacks and salads during the week. The next thing that I'm kind of prepping on the fly here are some ham and pickle pinwheels. I don't know if you guys are familiar with these, but they are really, really delicious and they are a great low carb snack. So basically you just take some deli ham and then I have some whipped cream cheese. That's the easiest to spread. You just spread the cream cheese on the ham and then go ahead and roll the pickle up in there. For this particular batch, I had some tiny dill pickles, and so I cut the ham in half. But for my next couple batches, I had larger kosher dill pickles. So I just kind of glued 2 ham pieces together with some cream cheese and then just spread a thin layer of cream cheese over the ham. Take your pickle, dry it off with a paper towel, and then roll it up in the ham. Super easy. You can go ahead and prep these ahead of time, and I guarantee you, if everyone in your house likes dill pickles, they will love this snack. It is so, so delicious. So once those are rolled up, you can go ahead and cut them into little pieces. I got a few Gladware containers out of the pantry, and so I'm just standing those up in there. These are actually better to eat once they've sat in the refrigerator for a while, but these are really great snacks. I love to throw these in my work bag and Adam's lunchbox, and we can have them during the week for a quick, high protein, low carb snack. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to prep is some tuna avocado cakes. This is from wellplated.com. I actually got this idea from Shelly of Shelly's Home Life. So for this recipe, you're going to need an avocado, 2 cans of tuna, 1 shallot or red onion, some almond flour, an egg, some lime juice, some chopped cilantro, hot sauce, some garlic powder, and some salt. Now, the difference between the original recipe and this one is that I'm using almond flour in place of the breadcrumbs, which worked out just fine. So to start, you're just going to take your avocado and mash it with some lime juice in a bowl. Connor wanted to help me, and so he was my little sous chef for this particular recipe. It was funny because as he was mashing this, he was asking me if he likes avocado, and I said, well, you've had guacamole before and you liked it, and so I think you do. But anyway, once I put the tuna in there, he helped me mix that up. There's 2 cans of tuna in there along with 1 egg, and then I also started to mince up my shallot so I could put that in the dish. The original recipe, I believe, called for red onion, but I didn't have that on hand and I had shallot. So I went ahead and minced that up. You're going to see in a minute here that Connor is covering his eyes. he was complaining profusely that the onion was burning his eyes, and so he exited the kitchen quite quickly. But after I added that to the bowl, I added my chopped cilantro, and then I'm just going to mix everything together until it is well incorporated. I'm going to go ahead and add my seasoning, my salt and garlic powder, and a little bit of sriracha along with the almond flour, and then just go ahead and mix that until it is combined and you feel like you can form it into cakes. So I feel like the original recipe probably would have formed a little bit better with the breadcrumbs because they're more absorbent, but honestly the almond flour worked just fine, and once they cooked up they held together. You couldn't even tell the difference. So I'm just forming this batch into 6 cakes and putting them on a baking sheet that has some parchment paper on it that I went ahead and sprayed with some cooking spray. And then you can just go ahead and put those into the oven. I baked them at 400 degrees for 10 minutes, and then once the 10 minutes is up, you want to flip them to the other side and bake them for 10 more minutes. When they're done, they will look nice and golden brown like this. They're actually really delicious. I'm super glad I made these. Although I am the only one in the house that will eat them, these will give me several lunches during the work week. So to make these a little bit better, I thought they would be good with some sriracha mayo. So I just took some mayonnaise and mixed it with a little bit of sriracha. If you guys like sushi, you know that this is one of the condiments that you get when you get sushi, but I tried one with the sriracha mayo and it was seriously delicious. So I'm looking forward to taking these to work this week. Okay, so next I wanted to prep some meatloaf for dinner this week. For this, I'm going to use 2 pounds of ground beef, some garlic paste, some ketchup, onion powder, 1 egg, some almond flour, some salt, some Worcestershire sauce, some heavy whipping cream, and some ground black pepper. Meatloaf is one thing that you can definitely prep ahead of time and then just go ahead and bake it when it comes to supper during the week. So I'm just going to go ahead and add all my ingredients to the bowl. For normal meatloaf, you would probably use breadcrumbs or cracker crumbs, but since we're trying to go more low carb, I'm using almond flour. For the ketchup, you can obviously also get low sugar ketchup. I don't have any of that on hand, so I'm just using regular ketchup, and I probably only used about 1/4 cup for the whole meatloaf, so the carbs are really negligible per serving. So once I got that all mixed up, I just went ahead and put it into a Ziploc bag, and I can use that for dinner the week ahead. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to show you guys how to prep is these low sugar peanut butter cookies. I've actually been making these for quite a few years. There's only 3 ingredients: peanut butter, eggs, and either Splenda or stevia. I will leave a link in the description box below, but you definitely want to make sure you use an electric mixer to combine these. And then once your dough is combined, you can just roll those into balls and place them on a baking sheet. The dough is actually not that sticky. It comes together pretty well. If I had to do these over, I would probably bake them for less time. I'm still kind of getting used to my oven. The oven in my old house was just a regular gas oven, and now I have a convection oven. And so when I bake things, sometimes they bake a lot faster, and I just haven't got quite used to that yet. But anyway, once you have your cookies there, you can put a crisscross pattern with a fork to mimic the traditional peanut butter cookie, and then you'll just put those in the oven and bake them at 350 for around 8 minutes. I would probably check them, like I said, a little bit earlier, but either way they still turned out pretty good. So I will go ahead and stick those in a Ziploc bag, and we can have them during the week when we have a sweet craving. All right, so we are at the end of our meal prep. I'm just going to give you a quick recap of everything we made this weekend. So I have the steak and mushrooms prepped, along with some grilled salmon and grilled chicken to use for salads. I also prepped the meatloaf meat. If you're interested in seeing the final version of that, check out my next video on what I ate in a week. I also made the veggie packs with dressing and hummus. And then I cut up a red bell pepper to have in the refrigerator as well. I made my crushed up pork rinds for low carb breading. I also washed up the grapes and cubed up some of that Gouda cheese, so we have that for snacks. Washed up my berries and got those in a container along with a few fruit bowls prepped with some low carb yogurt. I made the low carb everything bagels that were super good, and then 3 containers of the broccoli salad with bacon, cheese, and sunflower seeds. I also made the low carb egg bites. These are super delicious to have on hand for breakfast. I washed up my salad greens, so I also have that for the upcoming work week, along with some pinwheels, ham, cream cheese, and pickle for quick snacks. I have my grapes prepped for the kiddos, and then my tuna avocado cakes with the sriracha mayo. Those will make great lunches. I have my zoodles prepped for shrimp scampi this week, along with some cauliflower that I can use for really anything, and some cubed up Gouda cheese, and lastly, the low sugar peanut butter cookies. So that's it, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I really enjoyed making all this food for my family this week, and I enjoyed filming it for you guys. So if you have any video requests, please leave those in the comments below. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.